Hey everyone, it's Kyle with Coding on Chain, and in this stream, Roberto is back at it in part 2 of setting up Dandelion, this time macOS. A reminder, if you don't know what Dandelion is, it is a collection of Cardano services that help developers get up and running quickly building on Cardano. So head over to dandelion.link and learn more today. If you like this type of content, let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, you know what to do, and if you're an ADA holder, check out our pools, Lift and Peace. Anyway, let's jump in. I'm checking Twitch. Yeah, it looks like we're live.
Okay, so hello everybody. Today we are gonna do another Dandelion setup session. This time we will be deploying on macOS. As you can see, we already have Docker, so this one is probably gonna be real quick. That's a good thing, I suppose, because it will show that if you have the prerequisites, setting up Dandelion, it's like a trivial task. So let me try and change to the. Okay, so as I showed, we also have K3D running here. This is from a previous previous proof of concept I did. So I'm gonna start by deleting the cluster. I think the name was Dandelion testnet, because this is the computer where I this is the computer where I built the documentation. Then on our first session, we went on Windows following the same documentation I wrote on macOS. I did it on the wild and it worked. So let's start copy pasting. Okay, so this is actually for creating the cluster, where we expose the port 80.443 for HTTPS. We get Kubernetes using K3D. Not sure. I'm remotely controlling my macOS, so bear with me if I do stupid things like pasting wrong things. Okay. So starting Kubernetes from the scratch, thanks to K3D, this is really a breath. Okay. It will probably take some time to get all the basic kube system pods up, like a couple of minutes. Yeah, as I was saying, today's session is gonna be probably like 15 to 20 minutes if we don't find any problem along the way.
I'm gonna try to throw a wrench in it then.
Yeah, I would suggest people to throw us questions on the chat, so we can, I don't know, maybe explain a bit more about the templates. Oh, I'm getting echo because I opened Twitch. About the templates. Okay, silent. Twitch. Hey, Jaime. Caso is on the chat. Hey, Jaime. Caso is on the chat. Hey, Jaime. Okay, I think this is already ready. Yeah. So what was it? Like 1 minute to get Kubernetes up and running. Then we can keep copy pasting. Okay, let's render the testnet overlay. In this computer, I already have also customized, and as I told you before, I have all the tools already installed, so it's all about copy pasting. Ooh. See, already did some wrong copy pasting. No way. And it seems that even if it's all about copy pasting, we will have some fun. Maybe I can do it directly on the macOS instead of through any desk. Okay. Oh, cool. I forgot to enter. Right, I don't have the project clone here. So I'm gonna clone project. Okay.
This is going to be setting up testnet, right?
Yeah, we could try with Mainnet also, because yeah, it will be quick, so we can show that for Mainnet we just change a couple of variables, keep with the copy pasting. Keep going.
That'd be pretty cool. How long does it take to sync testnet? So it's like for instance, if I wanted to, send a transaction, like how long do you think it would typically take?
For testnet, it will be like hours. It depends on your connections. It depends on your computer, on how fast is it, but less than 1 day. For Mainnet, it will probably take like 1 day at least, but also depends on your connection. This is a really old MacBook from, I think, 2014, and it's 16 gigabytes of RAM. And last time I checked, it was like, yeah, hours for testnet and 1 day for Mainnet on a 100 megabit connection. Okay, so I copy pasted the render step. We have here, I don't know if we showed this last time. This is the complete manifest for every resource, some configuration files for the node, topology, different config maps for Postgres, like tons of resources.
And to be specific, what you're showing there, like those configs, those are the actual, Cardano configs that we download from the various environments. So that wasn't something like you just like made up and decided to, so I don't know, some things like that always kind of seem daunting, unless you like understand that, like, that wasn't created by Roberto.
Right.
He went to a website, downloaded it, and threw it in the config. So
yeah, if you follow the typical documentation to get a Cardano node up and running, one of the things is download the config file, download the topology, and download the Genesis file, and all those are here in the form of config maps. And yeah, I tuned this tracing configurations for like having yeah, having Cardano node in verbose mode, just in case everything goes wrong, that takes more resources, that consumes more CPU and RAM, but I like to have them because, here you are not really worried about missing blocks or whatever, like you will be in your stake pool, so we can afford to switch all those on. Okay, so we render this and let's deploy.
Here you go. We got a good question. So Casso asks, why is it a good option to use essentially Kubernetes? I never used it, so don't know too much about it. My Cardano DB sync is set up with Postgres and Nginx. So no, that's a great question. But yeah, Roberto, what do you find to be the real advantage for using Kubernetes?
For me, it's all about ease of use. I mean, if you go and deploy all this stuff manually, there are like tons of things to be aware of. Like, okay, for example, if you use containers on your local machine, and you have Cardano DB sync and you have GraphQL, you need to have two Cardano nodes for each of those services, or B, having a shared folder where Cardano node setups the socket and these two services can share it. So for setting up that manually, that takes time. With these Kubernetes templates, it's all already pre-configured. I mean, why would you want to use Ansible or Terraform for deploying things? It's because you have all pre-configured and you can deploy each time in the same way without worrying about config files, paths, creating the right folders. Kubernetes, why Kubernetes instead of like Terraform spinning up a node in a cloud provider and then make Terraform to provision that server via SSH, use Ansible? Because I feel that this is more natural to me. Like, I have containers, they have environment variables, and that's mostly all I want to take care of. I don't want to deal with like Python code or whatever. And that's Kubernetes. I mean, YAML files to define all these abstractions. You apply them. You can reproduce these on many different providers without worrying about permissions on different operating systems. I don't know, Kubernetes. Why Kubernetes is it's a long debate.
Yeah. All right,
basically,
I have to ask.
Yep.
What is Laura doing in the background?
What is
Laura doing in the background? Is she like doing the dishes or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Today is a local holiday here, and we are in the middle of the householding, so please excuse us.
No, so good.
¿Puedes hacer un poco menos de ruido? No, fix it. I couldn't hear the noise because this headset is very well isolated. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, it's a good change because typically in my the background of my audio, you might hear like crying kids. So
Okay, let's go on deploying. Maybe I should have already launched this. Oh. Man, why this doesn't copy? Okay, we created the namespace. Let's deploy. And in this system, KApp will complain about too many open files at some point, like that. It cannot keep tracking the resources that has been created. But yeah, there it is. It will take another like 5 minutes until we see DBSync inserting transactions in the database. And one thing that will overload my poor MacBook, as you see, it's already like struggling. Load average is above 4 or will be above 4 soon. We could try and deploy Mainnet in parallel. For that, we need to render. I will copy this, skipping the overlay for testnet, and I will manually set this. I don't know if I... Oh. Bear with me, please. This lag kills me. Even rendering takes some time now. We will use a different namespace, of course. Actually, can do this. Overlay. We create the namespace. Okay, Dandelion mainnet created. Let's apply and see if this MacBook explodes. Probably it will do it. Okay, this is almost running. Everything is almost running. Let's go for mainnet. Oh, and this time I used kubectl apply instead of KApp, just because it's in the documentation. We didn't do it until now, and there it is. It will crash, or some containers will crash until they become running.
But they auto restart and try again, right?
Yeah, that's another cool thing about Kubernetes. I mean, you can have systemd, and you can have containers run by systemd and restarted whenever they fail. But Kubernetes provides some good abstractions, and again, I don't need to worry about what version of systemd I'm using or what version of whatever the base system I'm installing all this is using. I know that everything I run inside Kubernetes it's gonna be the same if I use Windows as base system or Linux or macOS. As you've already seen, all I did here is exactly the same I did on Windows. And testnet is already running in 5 minutes. Okay. Although it's not yet syncing, it's up.
Gotcha.
Because this is load average is above 7 and this is warm.
Roberto, was it oh yeah, okay, it definitely was you. So what do you think about helping out the music pool with their NFTs? Do you maybe we can do that on a coding on chain session? We can kind of leverage the IPFS stuff, and
I would say that will be a good continuation for our IPFS exploration. I mean, we can do it. We will probably want to check a space bats approach for the NFTs metadata. I need to catch up with the thread in the Cardano forum. I know Vegas Pool is also launching some good ideas there. Yeah, maybe we can adopt that standard, or maybe create a different one using JSON LD. Or yep, that would be a cool coding on chain session. Okay, this is syncing. Caso, this is why I prefer K3D and Kubernetes. Think about installing not only dbsync and Cardano node, having to download this Genesis configuration, topology. Imagine not only having to do that, but also configuring GraphQL and Rosetta and the Submit API and Postgres. I mean, this is a high availability Postgres deploy from Bitnami Helm chart, and it's out of the box there. And if you want to customize anything, you can create your own overlay. Let's say testnet. You want to change something, you can copy this directory and tune things like this. With customization, you include on the overlay all the base resources, and let's say you don't want Explorer API because it's going to be deprecated, you don't want Submit API, you don't want Postgres WebSocket because it's not really working as I wanted, and you want to customize the environment, and for example set a secure password, because all these things are like for local development and everything is not secure by default, let's say. All you need to is start your own overlay. Yeah, in minutes you have everything. You can then handle mainnet and testnet in the very exact same way. Here is mainnet dbsync. It's not syncing just yet, and let's let's do the same test we did on Windows, which was querying something through the Postgres API. For that, we fake these fully qualified domain names. We need to fake them while performing HTTP requests. And that's why we have this. Okay, let's do this. This endpoint variable, which is passed as host header to localhost. Here is where the ingress controller for the Kubernetes cluster is listening, but we need to specify the host header for the ingress to know where to route the request. Okay, this should, yep. Now let's query epoch. Oh, yeah, this must be a bug. Again, we got the permission denied for table. That's because the read-only user is not being correctly inserted. We got this one also in the Windows deploy. I thought it was a race condition, but it seems it's not. And I would say this didn't happen on macOS before, but okay, let's fix it.
You can always rely on bugs to extend your tutorials, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the Postgres container. I will need to get the SQL for the read-only user, which, if I'm not wrong, it was yeah, in the overlay testnet. For example, this is supposed to be executed on dbsync init, but it seems it's not. So I'm executing it manually, and then it works. There it is. We have epoch 1, epoch 0 for mainnet, for testnet. I suppose mainnet, I will check on the while. Same. So I basically do the same. I manually add it, and I will check what the hell is happening, because it was working. You know, race conditions are a pita. It seems mainnet is still, oh yeah, it's syncing, but we are getting empty Oh, this is weird. This should be a JSON file, Postgres. What about? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, blocks. There are blocks, but given that it hasn't finished the epoch 0, I guess, for mainnet. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is mainnet, right? Yeah, we are querying mainnet, and it didn't finish epoch 0. So when we queried the epoch table, it was empty. Now it has one entry at least. Cool. So we have mainnet and testnet working in less than, at least I'd say, 15 minutes on the same MacBook Pro, taking like 9 gigabytes of RAM and 8 TPUs at the topping them. That this would have taken me like, I don't know, at least a couple of hours if I did it manually, and if I did it with Ansible, for example, or any other DevOps approach, I would probably be able to deploy on a virtual machine, but not in the same way, in the very exact same way on Windows and macOS, because if you use Windows, okay, you will run VirtualBox, then Ubuntu inside VirtualBox, and in macOS you will mimic the same, but having all that set up also takes more time than installing Docker, installing a couple of binaries, installing K3D, and just apply some YAML files. So I've worked as DevOps advocate. One thing I really focus on is on easing developers to set up their own local development environments as close as possible to the production environment. This is exactly the same environment I have on Dandelion.link in the cloud. For me, this is having all this in 15 minutes. It's like the way to go for developing this. I mean, I developed Dandelion templates, customized Dandelion templates like this. I use this MacBook as development environment and start breaking things locally before I go in the cloud to the cloud and deploy on servers that take money. So I would say that's it. Even if we can also test the GraphQL copy like this. But my intention with this session was to do it like really fast, so we demonstrate that this is the same for Windows or macOS, and it's really quick.
Yeah, I mean, you did both tested mainnet in 40 minutes, so
That's the that's the main point. So if we don't have more questions, see, we have testnet. Well, this is not real. it's not sync percentage for testnet is not already at 98% of the synchronization, but it will take, this 2% will take like some hours, and for mainnet it's 20%. Like for I want to check what epoch are we at.
Claro.
It's still at epoch 2 in testnet, and I think we are close to epoch. Well, let's perform the same query to Dandelion dot link, and we don't need to fake the host. Yeah, we are at epoch 122. So it synced 2 epochs in 15 minutes. Do your count. It will take some hours. Some epochs are more dense in transactions and metadata, so can take more time to sync, but yeah, it's hours, not days. And of course, mainnet is more dense because it's full of transactions, and last epochs has been wild. We had to increase our instances resources, and that was also trivial to do with Kubernetes because I just shut down the old instance, added to Kubernetes cluster a bigger one. Kubernetes rescheduled all the pods on the new node, and I had to change absolutely nothing. So do we have any questions on the chat? No. Do you have any questions, Kyle? I know you are exploring Kubernetes these days. Probably
I'm
still
definitely a learner. No, I mean, I think really, you're doing a really good job just even demoing like the power of Kubernetes. I definitely, to me it's a beast in and of itself, right? I mean, just because we're leveraging it for this, I know there's a ton of work that's actually gone into a lot of this stuff that you're just saying like, oh yeah, copy this. It's not the way it used to be, that's for sure. But I mean, like it is the power. Like to me, that is what makes it that powerful, right? You set it up, and now you can go put Dandelion really wherever you feel like it, right? And even to the point where novices like myself can jump in, and if I need to spin up my own Dandelion instance, whether it's locally or even in the cloud, using these guides, this is exactly what I would use to get that job done. So
yeah, maybe we can explore this on the next session. This is something you asked me to show you how to connect to Postgres externally from the cluster. For example, as I show when we set up the K3D, we just exposed port 80, 443. This is the Kubernetes control plane API. But if you want to expose ports from inside services like Postgres, you can use kubectl port forward and expose Postgres, and then connect from the outside with a desktop database manager to I don't know,
Yeah.
perform queries in a friendlier way than the CLI.
And the thing is, that's you know what? That's going to be really important. I definitely would be super interested in that, because that would even help me with Cardano Sharp development, right? Because I need to be able to connect an application, directly to a Postgres DB, and if I can just use this to set it all up, and then just hit the connection and have my application read the DB, that'd be perfect.
Yep.
And it would save me lots of money. Instead of trying to do all this in the cloud.
And I will probably ask you for some help for performing some queries, because I should be an SQL expert, but I always try to avoid to. So if we want to, let's say, add some extra columns to our get valid pools procedure, we need to do some inner joins, left joins, whatever joins. Yeah, I will probably ask you for some help.
Oh yeah, that would be really useful if we could even just throw in like optional like additions to this, where it's like, okay, you can do this if you just need to get Dandelion up and running, but if you want like the Dandelion like views, right, go ahead and execute this optionally, right? And those views are what we can work on SQL views that we could just throw in there.
Right. And I need to incorporate these functions I use. Oh, I cannot search here. Well, we have the get valid pools and some other procedures stored on dandelion.link that are not included in customized Dandelion. I need to integrate them so anybody can have and use them, because it's like we have in Gimbal Labs, we have them set like the get metadata procedure, and that's not integrated on here. I mean, these RPC calls, these functions, I have them on a gist, and I don't have them. The SQL are not incorporated in customized Dandelion. So that's in my backlog.
Gotcha, yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so I say we can call it a session.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, hey, another successful coding on chain session. I'll take it. Just because it's a short one. I mean, probably makes it more successful, at least for the material that we're covering, right? We don't necessarily want these things to take forever.
Yeah, but that was the main point.
Awesome. Well, again, appreciate everybody who tuned in, or we'll check out this video on YouTube at a later date. And
thank you, everybody.
We'll be back later.
Yeah, next system is Linux, my favorite. Stay tuned. See you.